the very first episode of the FactCheckAfrica podcast. On this podcast, we discuss thematic issues about buzzing information circulating in Nigeria and Africa at large. So let's get right into it.
Alright, so to kickstart our podcast, my name is Oluwasegunlorike and I'm your host for this episode.
And I'm your co-host, Miss Kido Aminazada, and you can call me the freshest Alanja you can ever think of.
And hi, I'm Abimbola Success. So today we are going to be delving into what FactCheck is all about, the historical lane of FactCheckAfrica.
So to start with, I would like to introduce our special guest for today's episode. And the first person I would like to introduce is the person of Mr. Abib Adisa, who is the program lead of FactCheckAfrica. Mr. Abib Adisa.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
And the second person I would like to introduce is popularly known as TST. I don't know why I was not like using his name, but let me just stop there. He's the communications lead of FactCheckAfrica, the person of Mr. Sunday Taiwo, popularly known as TST. Like I said earlier, TST, you're welcome to our
We're so lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Alright, so Mr. Abib Adisa is a graduate of the University of Ibadan. He's a media guru, okay, he said not private, but he's a media guru, he's a content writer, and he's very, very sound. Also, our communication lead, Mr. TST. Is anything like Mr. TST? Sorry, TST is the communications lead, and he has done so very, very well in communication and everything. If you look at our platform on YouTube, on Instagram, on everything, he's the brain behind everything. And once again, welcome TST to our news.
You're welcome. So quickly, Abi, could you tell us what FactCheckAfrica is about?
Alright, thank you for that question, and thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome.
And thank you for having TST also, like you called him. So FactCheckAfrica is an initiative of the That's Youth Development Initiative. That is the BGYDI. And FactCheckAfrica actually didn't start as FactCheckAfrica. It started as FactCheck Elections. So what we did do then is to fact check around governance, politics, and elections. So it is in the sense that we were able to achieve a lot. When we started in 2022, we started with 32 individuals. We trained them on fact checking. They had little or no knowledge on fact checking, but we were able to train them for a whole week, bringing in big media personnel to train them virtually. So after that, we were able to recruit some of them as volunteers, and up to today, we have some of them still with us in person of Ogunsoya Sheye, Mr. Falawa, Afiz Rabiu, TST is here, I'm here also. I trained myself, I was one that brought myself in also. So a big kudos to our Oga at the top, Ola Squad, the Global Director of Green Media Development Initiative, and not forgetting Mr. Abib Adewale, the lead of program at Green BBYDI, and the ED, our Madam, Ms. Nora Jima. So after we did that, we were able to hold under, at this time now, physical engagement, where we trained over 50 campus journalists and freelancers in Ibadan. And in that event, we were able to bring them on fact checking, looking towards in view of the 2023 election. As we all know, the 2023 election was actually very interesting. We had 3 contenders and it was more elaborate. But you should not forget the fact that because it was that interesting and that competitive, the level of misinformation and level of content pushed out that we were to receive voters was overwhelming. And I think at that point, our impact was well felt amongst other fact-checking platforms, as we all know. So, like I might have forgotten maybe to mention earlier that FactCheckAfrica is a non-profit, non-governmental organization. So we've been here since 2022. So we evolved into FactCheckAfrica after looking at how we've worked on elections alone. We see there are other parts of sectors where misinformation and people are being misinformed and disinformed also. So in this way, that was how we transcend into what we have today as FactCheckAfrica. We have 5 key sectors where we fact checking the governance, which elections and politics, which is the main goal as earlier stated, and now climate change, accountability and anything that you can think of in informing Africa, and having an informed Africa. So, after some time, leading towards to the 2023 election, we had our own situation in London there, and we had different observers and different on ground people checking for us and doing all of so. So we had our team in London in a situation room. I can tell you that we had up to 35 different claims, pictures that we were able to fact check on that day alone, leading to the election. Most of these claims were to take the voters and all those that had to do with the election, misinforming them mostly. For example, I can remember vividly one of the claims, which was a video circulating around then, that there was some violence in some places, which was not so. Some of these videos were videos that when we did our research and used different tools, we find out that they've been in existence for like 10 years. Might not be, it's not AI tools per se, there are different tools you use for fact checking. There's Google Lens, there's Google Reverse Image, where we're able to just take a screenshot of these videos and use it to see that these videos were not actually on that election day. I can even tell you, taking you further, to tell you that some of those videos, like one of them was from Ghana and was not from India, and it was used to persuade voters that violence were happening in social places. So maybe to dissuade voters from going to those polling units to vote. We don't know who were behind it, but we just know we did our part as engineers and as an organization at that time. So moving on from that, I can, with the help of our Oga and the expertise, like all those I've mentioned earlier, we've actually done a lot and we are willing to do more. So that's all. I can say for now. So I can talk about tools, but I think I would like to do that when we talk about the new things we're doing, like how we're using AI. We have a fellowship ongoing, but I'm just trying to give you background to what we've been doing as
that's interesting. But I find it quite fascinating and interesting that you talk about the part where FactCheckAfrica came into debunking a lot of claims during the election. So, what I just noticed from all of your conversations so far is that you mentioned disinformation and misinformation being clarified, fact-checked, and those information go out and everything. But I'm seeing this from a more corrective angle. I don't know if you guys get my point. Are there activities that come from a more preventive angle, such that before this information goes out, there's a way all this thing can be like prevented rather than when it's already out and everybody's already spreading fake news. That's when people that may say, "Oh, this is not fact check. I came to save the day like a hero," and all of that.
I understand you. Thank you so much. And I don't know if Shibli introduced me as an historian then, but I would like to first state that facts are sacred. Facts are very, very sacred. And you talking about preventive measures is like talking about, do we prevent issues like that before they even... So I would like to say there is something called pre-debunking. Pre-debunking. There are different ways which you can go and to do that. But I can use one of the examples we do is we do explainers. We just look at tropical issues. There are myths, there are superstitions that are flying around and they are not true and people tend to believe them. The Africans and oral passing of information has been one of the ways which we get information from the past, but this source of information also have their lapses like other source of information. But this does not mean that we cannot still learn from it. But what I'll say is, what we do is we do explainers. Okay. Explainers in the sense that we just look at some issues that has been long spread overdue and all that, or before they even, we just look at, okay, this thing, people might not know what is behind it. What can we do? So that, like an example of that is during the election then, which I just like to mention in brief, that the INEC came out to say there will be no voting without PVC. Although INEC said that and it was in news, but there were still people sharing false information that you can vote without your PVC. So before even then at all, we got different, INEC released different data of voters and all that, and the prerequisite and requirements for you to be able to vote. So what we did was then to write an explainer about no PVC, no voting. But what happened on the election day, if people voted on the election day,
Different.
I don't know. I'm not an INEC personnel, and I would just like to say what we did, giving an example of what debunking is all about. Thank you.
So something crazy just came to my mind. So sorry. Well, so there was something you said about FactCheck Africa actually pre-debunking, to explainer. I just want to explain that chip in something like we always hear all these gender pushed, ideas, or that we always in Africa that if a woman does this, a woman will become this, she'll be like a boss or what. I don't think that FactCheck Africa will come into like, is there a way? I know you're more into technological, all this, very, very literate information. The religion aspect where we, circulate all these ideologies, like, okay, fine, if you're a female and you're any more than, these ideologies now, that you just get circulating, that, okay, if you're into this profession, you'll be wayward. You'll be like this, you'll be that. Like, for example, now, let me say, like, if you go into broadcasting, they will think that, you stick with men, you'll be wayward, you'll be this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I don't that may not.
It's a very sad truth that the means and the how fast misinformation spread is very higher than how fact checks. When we do fact checks, we notice that people don't even check it. People don't even want to. It's not like they don't check it, but the level of how people spread false news is different from how they spread the gospel of having people involved, going viral. Exactly. So false news spreads wiser. So what we do is that we have a lot of initiative that we brought into FactCheck Africa. I'm very sure later TST will talk about our community sensitization program. We're going to different campuses in Nigeria. In February, we were in Gombe, at the university in Gombe, a college. We were in Kaduna. We were in Kwara, we were in Kwasu. And I can tell you categorically that we've trained over 1,000 people, including students. And I've mentioned earlier that we've been training youth, training different people. So we now look at it that we are training youth, and there are remote areas in Nigeria. A lot of people don't even get their information from the internet. They use the traditional sources like the radio and all that. So that's part of what my colleague here will be talking about, why we come around to see that, okay, let's start sensitizing the communities, remote areas mostly, with our projects, partnering with different local organizations that are non-governmental like us to key into, because they are in their localities, they understand everything. And most of these sensitization, they do it in local languages also. So we look at the chain of information and where do people get in these places get information from. And we know that in this Africa, we respect our leaders a lot, religious or even community
we love
leaders.
them actually.
So
understatement. We love them. If you see that they will make reference to somebody, you think that the person is like they all make.
So we've been doing this with these organizations I mentioned. So one of those things we're still trying to do, and we've already started actually, is apart from that, we have ambassadors, those we call information ambassadors, that in those localities that can spread the gospel. It's not about just fact checking and, like you said earlier, that what do we do as a preventive measure? We want people to have that doubt in mind when they get information, not to share it immediately. And the word of mouth is just cutting the root of. We know it is not something that can just go like that. It is something that is probably bound to stay with us. The effect of, we have people doing a lot with deepfakes and AI now, and it's even getting, so we have to also man up and be able to do times 3 to speed up with the rate.
So in terms of behavior, that's like a kind of a progress, because now people now have to second guess.
Yes.
That rush that you get when you see women, just that so that it's kind of changing the behavior of Africans, that they now have to have that doubting mind, second guess information before they now switch it out.
So before you can even say you want to solve something, you have to do situation report and report the environment. So we look at it like, okay, not everybody has access to internet. I don't have the data here of those that have access to internet, but I'm sure not everybody. Like those communities we visited, we can see practically.
Even speaking about the grassroots community.
So we were now like, okay, what can we do? And that is why I said we bring in the traditional this thing, ambassadors and all that. So we're looking at doing more of this. We visited over 30 communities in Nigeria in different zones, north central, south, southwest, different communities. And we visited up to 5 campuses. We still had one recently where we visited Kwashu. We've done, I mentioned, we visited Kwashu, we visited Gombe FC in Gombe, we visited Kaduna, Kaduna, and recently we did Fountain, bringing over 250 students on fact-checking and all that.
So yes, those are like the local communities you visit. You're not really. So what do you have to say about these communities that FCA has been organized training and?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And like as rightly said, FactCheckAfrica, we actually transition from only fact checking elections. We transition to now covering more thematic areas like climate, conflict, governance, and electoral issues. So we noticed that just like some other fact checking platforms, as an organization, since we kickstarted, we've organized training programs, sensitization programs for youth, campus journalists, across diverse communities. Our fact checks, we actually post them online, and that's my
communication.
So we feel that those that actually benefit from all of these initiatives are the netizens, people that have access to internet. So that's what some an organization like FactCheckAfrica, maybe some other organization that
netizens.
So that's what we are actually big on. So we thought that there is a demography that's missing. So that demography is, I would say, the older generation who do not have access to internet and who live in rural communities. So now thought to come up with a localized fact check awareness outreach.
So that will be very challenging, because my grandma, for one, that woman is very uncomfortable with technology. If you get, not that she cannot operate, but she's just uncomfortable. So I really want to know what challenge is it like?
How was it in those
Actually, it's been very, very challenging, and Abiba said but we are actually embracing the challenges, because we are actually getting the results, and the results is what drives us to want to do more. So one of the approaches we deploy is the fact that we do not stay in this community. So we now thought to partner with local non-profits who are used to this demography, who are used to these communities, who operate inside those communities. So we partnered
that's a very smart
empowered them in terms of support and small businesses. We actually empowered them so they can carry out sensitization programs across their communities. And today I can say we've been to over 30 rural communities.
So can you just state which communities for people to know that?
So examples of communities, I've been rightly mentioned, the geopolitical zones in Nigeria that we've touched, we've been to North Central, been to South, East, all of that. So I remember we partnered with like Africa Media Development Foundation, partnered with the Matscale Foundation, we partnered with Dama for Africa. So some actually executed their projects in Abuja, some in Kaduna, some in Oyo State. I remember that of Oyo State, they actually visited the local governments in Ibadan. So communities they touched were like Akufo, Jam, and all of those.
Those data sounds.
Yes, because they are more susceptible to the dangers of disinformation. And like a researcher once said, false information does not only mislead people, it endangers society.
Because they'll have people living in decentralized,
exactly,
informed society. They'll call them, okay, I heard this, I heard that.
You get the point. And most of them rely mostly on word of mouth. They say. Exactly. Remember during Ebola in 2014 and also during COVID-19 2020, there was this widespread misinformation that taking salt water kills.
I'm actually a victim of that. But like, came home one day, she was like, hey, they called her from office that they should use salt and water to have their bed. I was like,
So I don't believe that led to, a lot of hospitalization, even resulted in deaths of many,
What's even more challenging is where you get to measure the impact of all of this. It can be very, 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 very impressive that FactCheck Africa is taking the initiative to go into these remote areas. So how have you been able to check the impact, the results, and I'm interested in that.
So one of the things we did, I think I've mentioned that we have information ambassadors. So in any community we visit, we actually do have community vanguards. That will be like the liaison between us going forward. So that's one of our sustainability plan. So we do initiate community vanguards. So we train them specially so that they can do a step down training. And most of those we incorporate into that forum. We do religious leaders because like in Africa we respect
religion looms large in our world.
Exactly.
I'm telling you.
So we seem to respect our religious leaders the more. So we
about small board now. So
yes, so we do head of market places too. We do influencers, community influencers, so youth leaders in those communities. So we bring them together as community vanguards so they can step down the training and always give us feedback on what more support they need to advance the course.
In fact, you've given us ample detailed information. So I'm here again for you. So, do you have anything?
It's okay. Yes,
What's other? Okay.
I'd like to ask him a question. Now, can you tell us the strategies you have implemented to address all this, the urgency of misinformation being circulated around? Like, what are the strategies you have put in place to ensure that this spread are being reduced, perhaps?
Yeah, I think I might have to probably answer that. Yeah, so.
Please, when you answer that, can you answer that in line with what other
exactly
technological and innovation we should be expecting to?
With the fact that we've bring ourselves into conclusion that we have to do localize this thing. We're also big on technology and we're following the trend. AI is probably the next big thing in the world.
Exactly.
So we launched our AI tool where you can fact check in 30 seconds.
So Africa, I want to get to
and that is my AI FactChecker.org.
My
AI FactChecker.org. While I would not give you sounds to be like an appetizer for you guys, I'm not going to give you details of how it works yet. So we actually have the initiative to you'll be able to just type, okay, there was a time that it spread that the president was cloned and he was dead. I was like, how on earth was that?
It was not doing right time that spread.
Look how
so they said you can just what I feel you can just do now, since you guys were victims of that, I'm trying to say, you can just go to my AI fact checker, just type is President Muhammad Buhari dead.
Okay.
So when you type that,
so that means the features are easy and simple.
It will chronicle different websites that talk about it. Then we have something called I don't want to give you details. We have something called sentimental analysis and all that. So when you do that, you can just try that, and for those viewing this podcast, you can actually try that on your own also and be able to use that. So we are big on technology. So you don't ask me more further questions on that. I don't want to.
Okay.
Thank you for shedding light on that.
So yeah, you can take.
Okay, I think that will just have to join it.
Before I actually
Let's draw the question on this.
I actually have one more question. Okay. Well, see, I don't know if it's from my perspective, but the research materials I've been reading so far has been big on the era of or the wave of data capitalism. And something about Africa further, going down the ladder of knowledge or information with this AI, invention and all of that. I don't want, because of time, like my host has said. So please, can you just explain, that part to us?
Shemilobi, I think you are the main host here. I think you guys will have to pay me because
you don't have to. You don't have to.
So I don't want to say this before now, but I would love to say it. We have an ongoing AI journalism training journalists across West Africa.
Oh, that sounds
we
interesting.
did a call for application and we had was close to 500 applications.
Wow,
We were able to pick
that's huge.
just 50, I think.
Wow.
50 individuals from different range of countries, from Gambia, from Sierra Leone, from Cameroon, and we are training them currently. We've done like three trainings now. It is virtual and it is going to run for 3 months.
Alright, thank you very much. Like we've now known a lot about what FactCheck Africa is all about. They've explained everything. Thank you very much to our programs lead,
My pleasure.
and thank you very much to our communications lead, Mr. I don't know, he said does not like his name. Let me just call him TSC. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, our audience. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to subscribe. Click on the notification button to be notified when our next episode is going to come up. And if you want to continue seeing this dripping chocolate melanin beauty beside me, and want to see this freshest Alaja here in the success and people again, success, of course. So yes, we really need you to engage with all of our social media platforms, share, like, engage with us. In case you want any more discussions and want to revisit a favorite episode, which is this, and many more to come, engage with us. Thank you.